Hey guys, I'm going to show you how to do part 2 of the Tongan lei. For this lei, I used ginger and tea leaves for the rose. Here's my ginger. I'm just removing the petals from the stem. There's no special technique here. My ginger I get from a wholesale store. They usually sell them for $8 a bundle, and there's 5 gingers that come in one bundle. Here's the ginger. Okay, let's get started. So my method of making this lei, I use the stapler. The stapler is my secret weapon. And here's my foam paper. It's already cut and shaped into the shape that I want my lei. I'm doubling this foam paper because this foam paper is very cheap, and I want to make sure that when I go to staple on my petals that it doesn't rip through or the foam doesn't break in half or any of that. So then I double it to secure it. Now if I was to be using Hefty or a Dixie brand, one foam paper would be enough because they're pretty strong. First up is the outer layer. Now for the outer layer, I use the larger petals because the larger petals take up more space. Just like that. Make sure that your petals are pointing out. And I am doing 2 at a time. That way I can puncture the staple through both petals. Just like that. Make sure that you put pressure on your staple so that the back can hook. Because if it doesn't hook, the staple is going to fall off, and then your petals are going to fall off while you have your lei on. So make sure that the staple is pressed all the way down. I'm just cutting off a piece of foam that's bothering me. Now usually I pick out the large petals from the small and medium ones, but this time I didn't because they're all almost the same size. They're really close to each other. Now you make sure that you keep your staple close to the edge of the petal like that, but not too close, because you want to cover make sure that that staple is not visible. So you want to cover it with the next layer of petals. You always want to make sure that your petals are secured. So after you staple them, just give it a little tug or a little shake to make sure that they are tight and not loose. Perfect. Now, because we live in Cali, we don't have access to any of those pretty flowers that Hawaii and Tonga and New Zealand have access to. The only thing we have access to are these imported flowers from other countries. So yeah, you guys are lucky. Now the whole point of this is to actually cover the foam paper. See how it's all covered on top? Now I just need that little corner covered, so I'm just going to put one more there. And it doesn't hurt to put an extra staple there either. See? Now it's all covered. And pretty. And my staples are secured in the back. So for the second layer, I would use the medium and the small petals for that layer. So for the first layer, I used the larger ones. Then the second would be the smaller ones. And then the third would be the large ones. Or the third, it doesn't matter. I usually use the large ones because with the third layer, it doesn't really show because I would put a flower there in the middle. In this case, I used the tea leaf rose. That's what I put in the middle. So yeah, just make sure that you have a pattern going with the second layer, that the petals are not directly underneath each other. That's about it. This part to the lay is pretty simple. It's just everything is time consuming. And that's why I use a stapler instead of a needle and thread, because originally you're supposed to use a needle and a thread to sew the petals onto the foam paper, but I ain't got time for that. So then I came up with this method of using a stapler. So you can call this Nia's method. This method cuts time in half. It's more convenient, less stressing. I just love this method. When I started doing lace, I've always used this method for everything. I hadn't worked with fa yet to see like how thick it is, if the staple would hold the plant in place. But one day I'll be able to use that plant. So if you like my method, give it a like, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. Thank you.